Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is a video about books, and more specifically about the most important books that I've used to help me with my ideas behind investing. So also we're going to be talking about trading as well. As you know, I'm a trader, but also about investing and also a bit to do about business. Stay tuned if you want to find out more about my books and the ones I like most. Okay, so hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking books. Now, for all intents and purposes of this channel, we spend a lot of time talking about trading. And to some of you who do know and do not know, I also am very involved in investing. So I do a lot of stuff in investing and more specifically also a lot of stuff in business. So what I'm going to be doing is talking about some of the books that I have found to be the most iconic books that I've read. Not necessarily might be the best, but it's the books I've enjoyed the most. But one of them, or should I say most of them, have also helped me in trading. So to any of you who are also traders and you're trading in the financial markets, where it be, stocks, Forex, if you're trading anything else, you're also going to like these books. But just once again to remind you, to anyone who would like to keep updated with anything to do with this channel, we're uploading weekly educational content about trading, investing, and wealth management. So just make sure to subscribe to this channel and also have a look at all the videos available. There's tons of videos that you can use that I'm sure will help you in some shape or form in your trading and investment performance. So go have a look. I'm sure you'll find something you'll enjoy watching. So back to the video. We're going to be talking about 3 iconic books that I've read and that I consistently read again. And then also talking a little bit about some other books that I've been able to read and I've also been able to give my recommendation on. So 3 of the books we're going to be talking about. One of them is from Malcolm Gladwell. It's a book that I've recently started reading, but I've had a huge amount of feedback on it from multiple people. Another one is going to be from Tony Robbins. A lot of people know about Tony Robbins. He's a world-renowned motivational speaker, probably one of the best. He does tons of coaching, in terms of business, life coaching, and what most people don't know, financial wellness as well. And then the 3rd book is going to be from an author, Richard Branson. Now, a lot of people know Richard Branson as a British businessman, very, very successful businessman, and many people know him in the global community. So the main reason why I've chosen these 3 books, apart from the fact that I've read many, many other books, I try and focus on reading at least 1 book a month, or at least rereading a book, which I'll talk about now. The reason why I've chosen these 3 books is because they not only are completely different in topic and in author, but most importantly, they teach completely different lessons. And the whole point about reading a book is not necessarily to find enjoyment from it. And also one thing that people really get wrong is they try and find association with it, in the sense like, oh, I've been thinking about that, or, that's something I'm doing, so I may as well read the book. It's in the sense that a lot of people who are studying business studies want to read business books, but they don't necessarily learn anything from it. They just read it to make sure that if anyone, sparks a conversation with them and says, who's your favorite business, author, they have something to say. The problem is that a lot of people don't sit down and actually physically study the book, which is what I spend a lot of time doing. So as an example, the Tony Robbins book, I spent, a huge amount of time studying the book, and I'm actually going through reading it a 2nd time round. It's about a 690-page book, so it's a tough book to read. But I spend a lot of time studying the books and learning additional applications. So I'll read a chapter and I'll actually take a few pieces from the chapter and go and research it, because a lot of stuff that they might wanted to have put in the book, they didn't. So also you need to take the time when you're reading these books to try and actually get exposure into things that they haven't put inside the books. So just going back to give you a rundown of these 3 books, starting off with Richard Branson's book. I think Richard Branson's book would be a good one to start with. Now, Richard Branson has launched a few books. I've got actually 2 other books that I'm reading that he's written, and I'm also enjoying those books as well. The reason why the Richard Branson book is such an important book to me is because it taught me a huge amount about business ethics and the complete ideology about how business begins and ends with a human interaction. And obviously at heart, that makes sense, but very few people understand it and can comprehend it well. Richard Branson is very well known with people. He is incredible at interacting. At heart, he's a salesman. He's a very good talker. And inside this book, he talks about so many things to do with how he's been able to connect with people, and more specifically, the people inside the companies he's been able to engage with. Now, something this is going to help you realize as anyone who is interested in investing is that at heart, it has everything to do with the people. Most importantly, when you're considering investments where you're thinking numbers, you're thinking metrics, you're thinking, economics, you're thinking stuff that's pure cold data, what you also need to realize is very often there's people involved. Without people, the entire cycle does not continue. You need people to sell to you, and you need people to buy from you. So the Richard Branson book, from a very young age, I read this book when I was 15. It taught me a huge amount about investing. And my entire career began when I was 15, and it began from reading books. That's really where I started. So I'd really recommend reading this book specifically, called Like a Virgin, and I'd also recommend that you spend some time reading some of his other books. So, as I said, a really good book for investing, and also about the business ethics of the world, and about how human-to-human communications can also make you a very successful investor and businessman. In terms of the second book, I have to talk about Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, from a very young age, has encircled the entire planet with coaching, teaching, public speaking, everything that you can think of. He's worked with some of the biggest public figures, from presidents to frighteningly wealthy businessmen, as well as hedge fund managers. One of his good friends, Ray Dalio, is arguably the most successful hedge fund manager in the world. And there is a big write-up about Ray Dalio as well. And there's a lot of teachings that you can learn from Ray Dalio as well. So that's also what I'd shoot in right now. Just as another book that you consider is the book called Principles, specifically written by Ray Dalio. I'd really recommend you read it. The reason why I didn't put it in this in this section of books is because you will learn also quite a bit about what Ray Dalio talks about in these three books. But anyway, going back to Tony Robbins, he has launched some very incredible books teaching. You really need to also have a look at the Netflix series called I'm Not Your Guru. It's a very, very nice Netflix series about personal development and life coaching. But anyway, this book is specifically relating to people in trading and investing. You're going to learn a huge amount about the financial world. You're going to learn about how to manage your own personal finances and how you can understand the world of investing for yourself. So it's not necessarily a book that you'd consider if you're working in a massive, large corporate and you're trying to apply as investment principles. Even though you can, it is more specifically angled towards the everyday person and how they can manage their investments and their financials. So I'd really recommend reading this. There's some incredible stories about frighteningly successful businessmen around the world, and you're also going to learn a lot about those people. So that can also lead you to reading books about those people and not just about Tony Robbins. But the last book I really need to talk about is the book called Outliers. Now, Outliers has been a book that I've been recommended to read once or twice in my past by very prominent mentors, and I never got around to doing it. This book was actually given to me by a friend of mine most recently, and I began reading it. Now, what I can say is I haven't even finished reading the book, and I am absolutely hooked. I literally cannot put the book down. It gives you some incredible teachings on the behalf of the storytelling, as well as giving you similarities, and then lastly, giving you the actual cold hard facts, the statistics and the data behind the justification of this entire book. So this book was written by Malcolm Gladwell, incredibly good author. This book is quite an old book, written, I think, in the early 2000s. And what you're going to learn from this book is the most important aspects about the fundamentals of success. So the book Outliers is specifically relating to how certain people in the world have been able to find frighteningly, high levels of success, whether it may be a businessman or specifically a group of people or even certain practices that have made people frighteningly successful. and specifically talking about how you can apply certain practices into your life. But the thing I love the most about the book is it's really straightforward. So you'd be able to interpret it whether you are a financial professional or you're just a beginner. So like I said, these books are definitely going to be books you really enjoy. Tony Robbins, Malcolm Gladwell, and Richard Branson, great authors, a business coach, an author at heart, and someone who is a very successful businessman running the entire Virgin Group and many other business ventures. The best I can also recommend as well is to read a few other books. Now, two of the books that I can definitely recommend is Principles by Dalio, which I actually don't have now. I read the ebook and I'm actually getting a book shipped in right now with it. And the second book I can definitely recommend is a book called The Ultimate Gift by Stovall. Now, those two books, Principles and The Ultimate Gift, are going to be completely different books. The Ultimate Gift is more specifically about the person himself and or herself and about their journey in the world, about appreciation. And The Ultimate Gift, it's about the lessons you'll be able to learn in your life that'll help you develop a huge amount of success for yourself. Principles, the same thing, but more specifically relating to the opinion from an actual hedge fund manager. Now, relating back to investing, business, and trading, these books have helped teach me incredible lessons about being able to work with people, being able to use ethics and back up everything that you do as an investor and as a trader. It's also taught me a huge amount about being conservative, not risking more than you should. So as a trader as well, I've learned a huge amount of very critical and important lessons. And really at heart, what you need to realize about these books is these people are very successful people in their own right. These are people that should be respected and people that we should learn from. And for yourself, what you need to do is also understand that at heart, although you might be, whether you're a beginner, you're an intermediate, or even you're a financial professional, you need to read these books. There are things in these books that you don't know. And that's really something I have to say is I was very humbled by these books. I was very humbled by the teachings, and I continue to reread these books. So, like a version of Richard Branson, I've probably read 3 or 4 times. It's the second time I'm reading this book as well. And then, reading Outliers, I'm probably going to read the book consistently. The Ultimate Gift is only a 180-page book. So I read that book every single year. So I've read that book, I think it's about 7 or 8 times already. I can almost recite the book. And those books, reinforce my teachings, reinforce my understanding and my appreciation of why I do what I do. So it helps remind me why I do certain things and why they are so important to do. So once again, everyone, just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you do make sure to read these books and that you enjoy them a huge amount. And to anyone who wants to find out a little bit more about what I do and what we do at MS Equities Trading, also make sure to visit our website, www.msequitiestrading.com. You can find the link down below in the description. But we teach people in 25 countries around the world. So I run a global educational academy, and we teach people about trading, investing, and wealth management more specifically. And we'd be able to teach anyone around the world. So we run extensive private coaching as well as a very, very advanced online training academy. You can find all the information on our website. If you do want to contact us, make sure to get hold of us, and my coaching team will be in contact with you very soon. But once again, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you have a great week of reading and studying, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers for now, everyone.